Khuddhaka Nikàya. Vimanavathu. Purus of Vimanam, 2nd section. Men's mansions. The 5th Divian. Maharatavago. Vimanavathu. Vimanavathu. The 1st. Frogdeva's mansion. The Bhagava was staying at Champa, on the bank of the Gaggara lotus pond. Rising towards dawn and emerging from the attainment of great compassion, he saw today when in the evening I am teaching Dhamma a frog. Hearing my voice and being attracted by it, suffering violence at someone's hands, will be killed. He will be reborn in a deva world and will come while the great populace is looking on. Thereby will be a great penetration of Dhamma. His day's work done, by the pond afterwards he began to teach a fourfold assembly. Then a frog, thinking, this is what is called Dhamma, came out of the pond and crouched at the back of the listeners. And a cowherd, seeing the teacher speaking and the congregation quietly listening, stood leaning on his crook and crushed the frog. The frog was reborn in the realm of the 33 with a 12-yojana golden mansion and attended by nymphs. Reflecting as to what deed he had done to be born there, he saw nothing but attraction to the Bhagava's voice. At once he came with his mansion, descended from it, and seeing the Bhagava went up to him and honored him. The Bhagava, to reveal the Buddha-majesty, asked him, who, bright with psychic potency and entourage, with surpassing beauty making all the quarters shining, is honoring my feet? The deva youth, talking about his own former birth, explained in these verses. I was formerly a frog, a water denizen. But while I was listening to your Dhamma, a cowherd killed me. For a moment's serenity of mind, look at my psychic potency and entourage, and look at my majesty, beauty, and look at my brightness. Those who for long have heard your Dhamma, Gautama, it is they who have attained the unmoving place where they who go grieve not. Then the Bhagava, looking upon the qualifications attained by the congregation, taught Dhamma in full. At the end of the teaching, that deva youth was established in the fruit of stream entry. Sotapanna, first stage of spiritual awakening. Having honored the Bhagava, he returned to the deva world. Vimanavathu. Vimanavathu. Revti's mansion. The Bhagava was staying near Varanasi, in Isapatana in the deer sanctuary. There was then a believing lay follower, a princely giver and server of the order, named Nikàya. His parents wanted him to marry his causing Revti, but she was not believing, not charitable. Nikàya had no desire for her. His mother told Revti to come to her house and make ready to entertain the order, and she did so. And the mother told her son, she will now accept our advice, so he consented and they were married, and she bore him 2 sons. Nikàya thereupon launched out into charity on a large scale, and built at the monastery at Isapatana a hall which he presented to the Tathagata, pouring water of offering on his hands. Simultaneously in the realm of the 33 a deva-like palace of 12 yojanas rose up with an attendance of nymphs. The venerable elder monk Mahamoggalana, on a tour saw it, and asked the Bhagava for whom it was meant. The Bhagava spoke the verses. The man long absent from a far safe home, kinsmen, friends, associates rejoice to have him home. So the doer of merit from this to next world gone, the deeds of merit welcome as kinsman a loved one his return. Nikàya hearing this was glad, gave gifts, performed merit. Then, leaving home on business, he bade Revti carry on with diligence. She consented. But whereas he, while absent, continued with his gifts to the order and the destitute. She after a few days stopped her gifts to the destitute, gave inferior food to the monks and scattered pieces of fish and meat about in order to get the monks blamed. Then Nikàya came back, and hearing of the occurrence sent Revti to her own home but provided more sustenance for the latter. After a time he died and was reborn in the realm of the 33 in the mansion meant for him. But she cut off all gifts and continued to abuse and revile the monks, saying, on account of them all my prosperity and gain had dwindled. Then Vesavana told 2 of his yakhas to go to Varanasi and announce that Revti would be hurled into hell on the 7th day from that day. People hearing of this were frightened. But Revti went to the upper story, locked the door and sat down. In a week 2 fearsome yakhas with shining tawny hair and beards, crooked teeth and bloodshot eyes and so on, came and said, "Rise up, Revti, of very evil character." And they took her neck and crop, marched her up and down the streets that all might see, then led her through the air to the realm of the 33 and brought her lamenting, to a crowded hell. Yama's men cast her into the crowded hell. As it is said, "Rise up, Revti of very evil character, open is the door to hell, a woman of miserly ways. We will lead you where those gone to bad rebirths do mourn, denizens of hell, consigned to suffering." This was spoken by the recensionists. When they had spoken thus, those 2 red-eyed, enormous yakhas, Yama's messengers, having each taken Revti by one arm, set out for the company of devas. Thus led by these yakhas to the realm of the 33, Revti, placed near Nandaya's mansion and seeing its luster resembling the orb of the sun, asked these yakhas, "Whose is this mansion crowded with people, gleaming, lustrous like sun, a fair abode, covered with a net of gold blazing like the rays of the sun? A host of women, anointed with choicest sandalwood, beautify the mansion inside and out so that in beauty it appears to resemble the sun. Who, attained to heaven, is rejoicing in the mansion?" They told her. In Varanasi there was a lay follower named Nandaya, not stingy, a princely giver, liberal. This is his mansion, crowded with people blazing like the rays of the sun. A host of women, anointed with choicest sandalweed, beautify the mansion inside and out so that in beauty it appears to resemble the sun. He attained to heaven, is rejoicing in the mansion. Then Revti said, "I was Nandaya's wife, the lady of the house with authority over all the family. Now I will delight in my husband's mansion. I could not wish for the sight of hell." But saying, "Whether you wish it or not, what have wishes to do with us?" Taking her to hell, they spoke the verse, "This is the hell for you who are of very evil character. In the world where human beings live, merit was not performed by you. For one who is stingy, wrathful, evil in character, does not obtain the companionship of those who have gone to heaven." So saying, the 2 yakhas vanished then and there. But seeing 2 similar warders of hell who were about to drag her and throw her into the hell of filth called Samsavaka, she asked, "What is the filth and the dung that is revealed, what is this foul smell, what the excrement that is here blown?" "This is Samasavaka, 100 fathoms deep, where you, Revti, will boil for thousands of years." She asked, "What is the deed badly done by body, speech, mind by which Samavaka, 100 fathoms deep, is obtained?" They said, "Monks, Brahmans and other wayfarers too you deceived with lying speech. This was the evil done by you. Therefore is Samsavaka, 100 fathoms deep, obtained by you, where you, Revti, will boil for thousands of years." Then they told her of further torments. They cut off the hands and then the feet. They cut off the ears and then the nose. And then a flock of ravens, congregating together, eat the writhing one. Again she implored them, wailing, to take her back to the world of men. "It were well if you took me back. I will perform much benevolence through giving of donation, practice of equanimity, self-control and taming of mind. They who have done this are happy and do not later feel remorse." Again the warders of hell said, "Formerly you were heedless, now you do lament. You must experience the resultant of the deeds you yourself have done." And she said, "Who coming from the deva world to the world of men, should speak to me thus when asked? Give gifts to them who have laid aside the violence, give clothing, lodging, also food and drink. For one who is stingy, wrathful, evil in character, does not obtain the companionship of those who have gone to heaven. Suppose that I, having gone from here and obtaining human birth, liberal, possessed of practice of morality, I will perform much righteousness through giving of donations, practice of equanimity, self-control, and taming of mind. And with a devout mind I will establish parks and roads in bad terrain and tanks and wells. On the 14th, 15th, and the 8th of the bright fortnight and on a special day of the fortnight well connected with the eightfold, I will observe the observance. Apposatha, fortnightly fasting and confession. Always self-controlled by the practice of morality, and I will not be heedless in giving of donation. This I truly see myself. This was said by the recensionists. Thus her, wailing and writhing in pain, they cast feet up, head down, into the terrible hell. She said the concluding verse. Formerly I was stingy, an abuser of monks and Brahmans, and having deceived my husband with untruths, I boil in a most terrible hell. The commentary concludes by saying, now, inasmuch as there is no Devata in Revati's mansion, but as the story is connected with the attainment of the mansion of Nandaya, the Deva youth, it is therefore included in the men's mansions. Vimanavathu. Vimanavathu. Mansion of Shatta, a Brahmin youth. The Bhagava was staying at Savatthi, in Jita Grove. Now at that time a Brahmin's son Shatta, who had finished his studies under a Brahmin of Satavya, had gone home and got his teacher's fee of 1,000 kahapanas from his parents, and had set out for Satavya to pay him. Thieves heard of this and plotted to kill and plunder the youth in the way. The Bhagava, emerging from the attainment of great compassion, set out early and sat under a tree on the road the youth would take. The youth passing by, he asked him his mission, and then did he know the 3 refuges and 5 precepts? The youth, denying, the Bhagava taught them for him to learn. He who is the most glorious of speakers among men, the Sakyan sage, Bhagava, his task done, who had gone beyond, is furnished with strength and energy come for refuge to this welfarer. To this Dhamma, without passion, without desire, without grief, unconstructed, not disagreeable, sweet, well expounded and analyzed come for refuge to this Dhamma. And of which they have said, great is the fruit of giving of donation to those pure men. In 2:4-8 are these men who are seers of Dhamma come for refuge to this order. The thieves beset and killed him, taking money as he walked along, laying up these things in his heart. But he was reborn in the realm of the 33 with a 30-yojana mansion throwing lights for 20 yojanas. Men of Setavaya finding the body told the parents, and those from Akatha told the teacher, and a funeral ceremony was held. And the Bhagava went, that Shatta might have the opportunity of coming to show himself and so reveal to many the deed he had done. Shatta thought so too and came with his mansion, and when people wondered, is this a Deva or a Brahma? The Bhagava, to make clear the deed of merit the Deva youth had done, asked him, not thus shines the sun in the sky, nor are the moon or the Fusa stars bright as is this incomparable great luster. Who are you who have come to the earth from the Deva world? And the radiance extending over 20 yojanas cuts off the rays of the light giver. The fair mansion, perfectly pure, stainless, and holy, makes even the night like day. With many a lotus of divers hue and water lily, strewn with blossoms and variously decked, covered with a net of dustless, spotless gold, it shines in the sky like the very sun. Draped in red and yellow garments, fragrant with aloe, pyang, and sandalwood, they with fair complexion radiant as gold, fill it to capacity like stars the firmament. Here are men and women of divers aspect, here are the joyful with blossoms and trinkets bedecked, wafting fragrance released by the wind, variously ornamented and covered over with gold. Of what self-restraint is this the resultant? By the fruit of what deed are you arisen here, and how came you to this mansion? When asked, please tell step by step how it was. The Deva youth explained in these verses. Since the teacher had come across the Brahmin youth here on the path and had admonished him with compassion. And since Shatta, having heard Dhamma from you, the supreme jewel, said I will do it. I approached the glorious conqueror for refuge, and Dhamma too likewise the order of monks. First I said no, revered sir. Afterwards I did your asking faithfully. Live not in any way impurely hurting any breathing things, for wise men do not praise lack of restraint towards breathing things. First I said no, revered sir. Afterwards I did your asking faithfully. And not what another man does guard. Not thinking what is not given is to be taken. First I said no, revered sir. Afterwards I did your asking faithfully. And going to another's wives, to those guarded by another man, this is unarian. First I said, no, revered sir. Afterwards I did your asking faithfully. And do not speak an untruth, what is otherwise, for wise men do not praise lying speech. First I said no. Revered sir. Afterwards I did your asking faithfully. And that strong liquor by which his perception leaves a man avoid it all. First I said no, revered sir. Afterwards I did your asking faithfully. Indeed I, carrying out the 5 trainings here, faring along in the Tathagata's Dhamma, came among thieves on a path between 2 village boundaries. They killed me there for the sake of my possessions. To this extent I recollect righteousness. Beyond that no other exists for me. Because of good conduct I arose through Kama among the 30 rejoicing at will. Look at the resultant of faring along in accordance with Dhamma and of the practice of restraint for a moment. An instant, while many with lesser joys longs for may gain seeing me shining as it were in glory. See how through such a brief teaching I am gone to a good destination and attained to happiness. So I think those who hear Dhamma constantly must reach deathlessness, the secure. Even a little done in the Tathagata's Dhamma is of great resultant, a widespread fruit. See how Shatta, through merit done, illumines the earth even as does the sun. What is this righteousness that we may do? So some take counsel together, should we obtain human status again let us live practicing the practice of morality as we fare along. And the teacher being of great service and compassion came to me early in the day when I was in this plight. Then did I approach him who is true to his name be compassionate again so that I can hear Dhamma. Those who hear get rid of attachment to sense pleasures and of latent bias of attachment to existence. And of confusion, these come no more to bed of womb for, cool become they have gone to final nibbana. So when the teacher had addressed the assembly the Deva youth, announcing his establishment in the Aryan stream, saluted the Bhagava and taking leave of his parents returned to that Deva world. Vimanavathu.